everyone takes a look back at the board back there, let's kind of look at what our week will look like. Okay, today, terminating and repeating decimals, you'll have a work and hopefully get it done. Okay, tomorrow we'll have some slides on Google Classroom. On Wednesday, we're going to start comparing and ordering rational numbers. Okay, what is a rational number? What's a rational number? Who can tell me? Intentionally change the slide. Good. A rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. So remember, is 5 a rational number? Put it over 1 and now it's a fraction. Is 50% a rational number? Can 50% be written as a fraction? Yes, percents are always over 100 and then simplify. That's a fraction. What about 0 and 5? Decimal to a fraction? Yes, a decimal to a fraction. How do I make that decimal to a fraction? Who can tell me? How do we make a decimal to a fraction? No, decimal to fraction. But that's decimal to percent. It's okay. Decimal to fraction. It's okay. Good. Good, good. You read it out loud. So 0 and 5/10. So 10 is your denominator, and then you simplify to get 1/2. Okay? Rational, if your eyes aren't up here, you're not learning. So thank you for your eye contact and watching. Those are all examples of rational numbers. Okay, back to our to-do list for the week. We're going to be comparing and ordering those rational numbers, all sorts, on Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday you're going to have your Chapter 5 paper review. So since we're working on the Chapter 5 paper review, what does that tell you about the following week? We will have a test. Okay, so we're working up and preparing for that. All right, today we're going to get into, like I said, terminating and repeating decimals. Now, what does to terminate mean? To not necessarily get rid of. What does to terminate mean? To end, I would like to say. Terminating means it ends or to stop. Okay, so a decimal, when you're dividing, it's small right there. This is a terminating decimal because it ends, it does not go any further. Now, technically, decimals go on forever, right? So what could I add at the end of this decimal to make it good? Technically, yes, it goes on forever, but when you divide, it ends. That's a terminating decimal. Everyone say terminating decimal. Put that away, please, and follow along. Good job. Okay, repeating decimal is when a decimal goes on and on and on and on forever. Okay, and we are going to look at more examples of that right here. Okay, number 1 tells us to express 1/2 as a fraction. How do I write 1/2 as a fraction? Thank you for your eyes up here. Put that down, please, and follow along. What? Good job. 1/2. Number 2 says write the decimal that represents 1/2 pound. Now, we should be able to do this without actually dividing, right? What is 1/2? Do you guys know? What is 1/2 as a decimal? Who can tell me? Good, 0.5. 0 and 5/10. That's 1/2. Okay? Suppose Jude wanted to buy 1/3 of a pound. Now, how do we write 1/3 as a fraction? Who can tell me? Good, 1/3. She wants to buy 1/3 of a pound. What decimal would the scale show? So how do we make a fraction to a decimal? Who can tell me? How can we make a fraction to a decimal? Looking for some more people to volunteer and raise their hands. Thank you. How do we make a fraction to a decimal? Yeah. You divide top divided by bottom. Good job. So 1, the first one always goes on the inside, divided by 3. Take a look here. Can 3 go into 1? No, 0 times. So what do I do to keep going? Add a decimal, bring it up, and add a 0 in the dividend. 3 into 10? Subtract, and we get 1. Do I just get to stop? Nope, add a 0 in the dividend. Bring down 3 into 10. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract and you get 1. 3 into 10 again. 3 times. Yeah, do you notice what's happening? Okay, yes, this is repeating. The 3 is repeating. So this is technically what the scale showed, or would show. And if you type this in on a calculator, it would show that same thing. But if we want to write this on our paper and show, like in a shorter form, what we're going to use is, it's called bar notation. That's really important to know what bar notation is. Everyone say bar notation. Bar notation. Okay. Bar notation, you specifically place that bar over the digits or digit that is repeating. So if I wanted to write this down, I would say 0 and 3/10 repeating 3. Do you see that line that I put over the 3? Okay. That means the 3 is going on and on and on. If your eyes aren't up here, you're not learning, I'm convinced. Okay. Thank you. So I could write it like this. I could also write 2 3s and have the repeating line over both of them. That would be okay. Okay. It does not matter. I could do 3 3s if I wanted, but the shorter is probably the most common. Any questions about that? So let's look here. I have 3 different decimals. And I want to talk about, I need your help. What would it look like if first let's actually start at the bottom. What would it look like if I expanded this decimal or extended? What would that look like? Yeah. Yeah, you would just add zeros like this. Maybe I'll use a different color so we can see. Okay. What would this one, we're going to go from bottom to top. What would that look like if I extended it? Perfect. It would be a couple more 5s. I like that. Just because just the 5 is repeating. Bar notation is over the 5, so we added the 5s to expand it. Now, what about this last one? What would that look like if we expanded it? Good, it would repeat 65, so you have to write 6 5, 6 5. Whoops, 6 5. If I just wrote 5s, would that be accurate? No, you have to look at what the bar notation is over and what specific digits are repeating. Very good job. Okay. Whoopsies. Let's go back to where we are. Right here. Okay. Moving on. So on your notebook paper, I need you to please write each fraction as a decimal and use bar notation as necessary. So you use bar notation when they are repeating. Please do A, B, and C. It shouldn't take you too terribly long. Let's talk about what you got. So remember, fraction to decimal, top divided by bottom. So 1 divided by 6. Who can help me out? What did you get when you divided? What does this decimal look like? Go ahead. Good vocabulary too. 0 and 1600ths, and just over the 6 is the bar notation, because 0 times, add a 0 here, 6 into 10, 1 time, subtract, and we get 4. Then we have to add a 0 and keep going. 6 into 40, 6 times, and we get 36, subtract, and we get 4. Add a 0. You notice we're getting 40 every time, and it goes in there 6 times. And so just that 6 is repeating. What about 8/9? Who would like to share what did that decimal look like? Good. The line which is called bar notation, right? Good. Now, did anyone write it differently? Did anyone write it differently? How'd you write it? Are either of those okay? Yes. Remember, top divided by bottom, 8 divided by, not 8, 9. 8 divided by 9 can't go in. Add a decimal and a 0. It goes in there 8 times, which equals 72. And we continue to get 80, and it goes in there 8 times. Good. It's good to check and make sure that you know for a fact that it's repeating, okay? And last one, fairly quick. what is 4/5 as a decimal? Who can share with me? What is 4/5 as a decimal? Good. 0 and 8/10. Was there any bar notation? No, no. So what is it called when it's not repeating? What's that other one called? Terminating. Good. It ends. Terminating, because 4 divided by 5 can't go in. Add a decimal and a 0. 5 goes into 40. 8 times 5 times 8 is 40. So notice we subtracted and we have 0 left over. That means we're done. It ended. It's terminating. Okay. Okay. 2 more quick slides here, and then you'll have time to work. Now, there's not anything really different about these, but it's important if you miss them. What's different about these fractions that we're changing to decimals right here? Yeah, they have the negative sign, and look at F. What is different about F on the way right? Yeah, it has a whole number with it, so it's a mixed number. Very good job. Okay, so what is 1/4 as what is negative 1/4 as a decimal? We can do that off the top of our head. Good. Negative 0 and 25 hundredths. Because remember, 1 out of 4 quarters is 25 hundredths. Don't forget the negative sign. The second one, negative 5/6. Automatically, when you see that negative sign, I would write it in your answer so you don't forget it and then come back up to it. Okay, so 5 divided by 6. How many times can 6 go into 50? 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract and we get 2. Add a 0, bring down 6 into 20. 3. Subtract and we get 18. We have 2 left over. Add a 0, bring down 6 into 20. 3. So what is happening here? So what is repeating? Good. So 8, 3 in that bar notation must only be over the 3. If you accidentally write it over the 8 and the 3, are you correct? No. Okay. Last but not least, over on the right, remember when we have a mixed number that we're changing to a decimal, if it were me, I would automatically put -2 out front, because that tells me I have -2 wholes, or I have 2 wholes, okay? And then 1 divided by 6, 0 times 6 into 10. 1, subtract, we get 4. 0, 6 into 40. We had one like this, didn't we? Okay, so what is just repeating? The 6. So remember, this end part is what you're putting after the decimal. So 1/6, repeating 6. Okay, you have to be very, very careful. Don't forget, if you forget the negative sign, is it correct? That's an entirely different number. Okay? Okay. Last slide. Frankie made 34 out of 44 free throws this season. To the nearest thousandth, what is his free throw average? Who can help me out? To the nearest thousandth, what is his free throw average? How could we figure this out? Thank you for your attention up here. I'm gonna let you guys think. Take a look up here. Shouldn't really be on your papers. You don't need to write anything down, just watch up here. To the nearest thousandth, how could we figure this out? Yeah. Good, we need to make it into a fraction first, and anytime it says out of, it's a fraction. 34 out of 44, remember the part over the whole. Good, and then what? And then you're gonna divide 34 divided by 44. Now, to save you some time, I have put the answer for the division right here. Okay, when you divide, if you would type that into the calculator, do you guys see it on the right? That is what you would get. But how would you write that as an answer on your paper? Yes, ma'am. But good. Okay, 0.772, and then what did you say? Good job. And then the bar notation over the last 7, 2, because if you look, that's what's repeating. 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, and so on. Okay? Would it be the same? Huh? But I did do 2 7s up here. I know, I see that. But that first 7's not repeating. That first 7, do you see that? Now that's what I was just going to say. Look at 7, 2, the bar notation is only over the 72. So remember, if I would extend this, I'm not doing this, right? 7, 7, 7, 2, 7, 7, 2. Is that what this says? No. I got it. Yep, I got it right there. And only the 7, 2 is repeating. That first 7 is not repeating. Up here, I have 0.772. What? You don't have to, though, because it's just the 7, 2 that is repeating. Huh? You understand that this would keep going. This would be 2, 7, 2. Okay, so either way is okay. Moving on. Nope, we're going to move on. Okay? All right. Looking at G. Of 9 students surveyed, 4 said they prefer exercising in the morning rather than in the evening. Express this fraction as a decimal. Who can help me out with this fraction? Who can help me out? What would this fraction be? Someone that hasn't helped me yet today. Yeah. Very good job, because 4 out of 9, whoops, not G, I don't know why I did that. 4 out of 9, good. Now, how do we make a fraction to a decimal? Who can remind me? How do we make a fraction to a decimal? Divide. 4 divided by 9. Okay, and again, I saved you some time from watching me divide, and it is 0.44444. So how would I write that in a shorter version? How would I write that? Good. Yes, and then the bar notation. 0 and 4/10, repeating 4. Very good job. Okay. Okay. The people at the end, you can please pass down that sheet. And this is what you're going to be working on. It's really important that you read the directions. And, oh, be careful. There's not a ton of room to show your work in each box. So please either do it on the notebook paper and staple it, or do it on the back, but make sure you're neat and organized. Okay? Make sure you read the directions. If you look at the bottom here, okay, the Paisley problem, it says, what was her batting average? Okay? And averages are generally in decimals or percent. So your answer can be in a decimal or a percent. Does that make sense? Okay. And then just make sure you read the directions carefully on the last one. It wants it as a decimal and a percent. Okay, you have the rest of class to work.